Welcome to the virtual lunch. Today is Friday, March 5th, and this is virtual lunch number 254. I am very excited today to be speaking with Joey Seeber, who is the CEO of Level Legal, a provider of what I like to think of as white glove managed services.
Well, Level Legal started in the depths of the Great Recession, 2009. It spun out of a law firm, a small group of attorneys doing document review for litigation in the Eastern District of Texas, IP litigation. When we started, we had one client, one project, hoped to get a second project. We grew very quickly. Our first office was in Tyler, Texas, the Eastern District of Texas. Quickly opened an office in Dallas and grew very quickly, adding more projects for that one client, and then friends tell friends tell friends, and grown primarily organically for most of our 12-year history. Level 2 review became Level 2 legal, became Level Legal. But today, our primary focus is litigation, privacy, compliance, investigation. You talked about white glove work. That's accurate. We're not for everybody. And if you're looking for the lowest hourly rate, that's not us. Oftentimes the total cost of project is always going to be competitive. Some of our folks like to say we're really not good one-night stands. If you're just looking for a quick project, cheap, that's not who we are. We do our best work when we develop a relationship, when we understand your needs, we understand your acronyms, we can really dig in and provide value. The legal market is just weird. It's strange. I'm a lawyer. I practiced for 5 years and got out as quick as I could. But it's a guild. It's a profession. There's all this mystery around it. At the end of the day, there are customers. We call them clients, and there's a provider. And what's happened is that it's become terribly inefficient, particularly law firms. I worked at law firms. I know we wouldn't exist. The legal service provider, the law company, the LSP wouldn't exist if those efficiencies and that innovation were in the law firms. It was the alternative to what was happening at the firms that caused people 15 years ago to say, I think there's got to be a better way. There's no question for me that being an entrepreneur first, I've owned and sold and had several other businesses that were not legal related. But you're trying to serve the customer, you're trying to serve the client, and having that focus definitely an advantage because you're not then limited by the legal construct, the construct of the law firm or the typical ways of delivering those services. So to me, it's freeing. I was an entrepreneurship major in college back in the 80s when it wasn't even a thing. My college was one of the first that had the major. And then I went to law school, probably ruined it. That's definitely my mindset. And I think our organization reflects that, always looking for better and more efficient ways to deliver services to our clients.
You didn't mention this, but you were the mayor of Tyler, Texas for some years.
I was the mayor of Tyler,
successful mayor of Tyler, Texas.
I like to work with consensus, whether it's our leadership team or a city council or community. I developed in 12 years of being on the council and then as mayor, certainly developed those skills, if you will. And that's just my preference. That's my orientation is that we're in this together. We're going to work on this together if possible. I like for us to have consensus about the vision and the direction, and the rest seems to fall into place much better that way. It's about listening. I think that if we could learn to listen first rather than try to speak first, knowing that you don't always have all the answers, and it's developing the skill to listen and not speak before you listen and consider others' viewpoints. To me, that's a basic skill that a lot of lawyers don't necessarily possess. In electronic discovery, we see it all the time, just a lack of understanding some of the basics. Closely related to listening is empathy. So law schools, if we could teach empathy, if we could teach listening, if we could teach some basic technology skills, those would be things that might be missing. When we first started 12 years ago, it was really just document review for litigation. Then we were expanding outside of litigation. And then the consultative managed, this project would be much more efficient if we would do this, or if you would have this structure, or if you use this tool, let us make some suggestions for you how this might be done better. So it's evolved from document review for litigation to other subject areas, compliance, privacy, investigation, with the advent of tools. And then in the last year, of course, the expectation of technology, where everything from communication to the various platforms that are used in the work that we do has just been accelerated. Many have said we had 10 years of innovation in 3 months, but it certainly has been accelerated. And I think the expectation now is that we can use these tools and that we can do these things and we can do it remotely. So in terms of the change in the last year, certainly just a necessity. I mean, we had clients that was like, no way can you ever work anywhere but in your offices, secure, and we couldn't do that. So we had to adapt. Fortunately, we had made plans and developed a system that was secure. We're not going back. Every time I hear somebody say, well, we're going back, we're not going back. We're moving forward to something that's different, some of which will look like it did a year ago. But the train has left the station, as they say. Leadership lessons. You're always trying to prepare. You're always trying to be prepared, but it may not be for what you think it is. So we knew we needed to have a good infrastructure. We knew we needed to be pushing the boundaries. That meant that we had an infrastructure that was ready to go. There's a little bit of luck involved. You always have to be looking ahead. The other thing is that the leadership lesson from the trenches that I learned was people need a leader, and people need a leader who's going to be honest with them, and people need a leader who's going to encourage them and challenge them all at the same time. So we all got accustomed to, we're all in this together. And our leaders would say that, and we would say that to each other. It was certainly true at Level Legal. We were taking care of each other. But we're a project company. And so what that means is there are times when we're between projects and people don't have work. And for many of our people, that means they don't get paid. I decided that the last thing that any of our people needed was to worry about a paycheck. So we decided that for April and May, everybody was going to get paid full time. We would hope that there would be work there. But if there wasn't, we could absorb it. That was huge because that took the immediate worry of financial security for people off the table, and they could take care of their families and do those kinds of things. The good news is we got a lot of work because we were prepared, and most people it was paying work, but we definitely strengthened our culture. There were very few people, if any, who took advantage of the situation. Most were jumping in, what can I do? We have many examples of people going the extra mile, living our core values. We have all gotten stronger. We've all had to work together, and the cream did rise. This completely changed our business model. Our office space is up for sublease. We'll go from a total in our two offices of 14,000 square feet probably to 4. We're a 100% distributed company. We have significantly invested in enhancing our infrastructure for remote, and the offices will be used for meetings and for gatherings. And then there may be some who prefer to work in the office. But in July, we got so much work in May, June, and July. Had we been in our offices, we would have been constrained with the physical capacity. We had more people working remotely than we ever had, period, in the company, than we could house in the offices where we were. So access to talent, much better. It's worldwide or national, depending upon the project. We were able to upgrade because we got great talent, and there were a lot of people that needed work. And so the company has changed dramatically.
Joey Seeber, everybody. Well, thanks to Level Legal for supporting our conversations about simplifying complexity.